Hello, I'm the BoJo Curious Boris Johnson, and welcome back to the Ask BoJo channel, where we are once again answering your burning questions about politics. Today I'm filming outside the Royal Courts of Justice, as we've been waiting a while to answer a question from Carmen Taylor. What has made the British justice system so shambolic and unprepared to protect victims of crime? Now, there are many ways of approaching this question. And where criminal justice is concerned, there are no easy answers. But let me start by explaining to you what justice as a concept really means. Looking at what stands on top of another famous criminal court in London, the Old Bailey, we see Lady Justice wielding her most important symbol, a balanced set of scales. The goal of the criminal justice system is to find when a felon has unequivocally tipped the balance of these scales against society or against their victim, and to restore that balance as any judge deems necessary. Now, obviously, in doing this, the courts of justice fulfill their role of enforcing the laws of the land, but they also have their own rules to which they have to conform. And any form of justice dealt out by the state to any felon and criminal is technically a challenge by the state to an individual's freedom. So the rules which govern what the state can and can't do to any individual, even a criminal, are bound within the Constitution, human rights laws, and the precedents set by appeals against previous cases which have ruled that a particular judgment, ruling, or penalty against a criminal has been unfair or unlawful. Now, of course, many victims of crime and elements of the press, both sympathetic and sensationalist, are critical of these parts of the criminal justice system. They are inclined to believe that these limits for the courts are in place purely to protect criminals. Expressing this is very much their right. Indeed, it is the duty of a free press in a democratic society to criticise a government when its actions appear unfair, and this includes the justice system. However, the political argument is that the criminal justice system has its limits, not only to protect criminals, or even to protect those who are wrongly convicted of crimes, but also to protect the integrity of the state. There is arguably a slippery slope which any state can begin slipping down once it decides to, say, subject a violent criminal to unusual medical intervention, such as suppressive drugs or lobotomy. At the top of that slope, we may start with imprisoning people for petty fraud or victimless cases of vandalism, for example, but at the very bottom, it ends potentially with capital punishment for a variety of crimes beyond simply murder. And of course, as a lot of evidence has made clear in recent history, capital punishment is not a deterrent. And in fact, it is possibly the one form of punishment which truly brings the integrity of the state into question. What right, it should be asked, does the state have to commit murder, even against a murderer? Now, the biggest problem presented in this whole issue is that the press have become much more gung-ho, especially in Britain, about openly and brutally criticising criminal courts and the most serious cases they deal with. While this can help bring justice otherwise unachievable to criminals such as the racist murderers of Stephen Lawrence, for example, it can also end up presenting a serious issue of its own, where criminals are essentially put through a trial by tabloid, which only makes it harder for the criminal courts to remain neutral and unbiased. It is far better for the press to let the courts do their job before any criminal is proven guilty or sentenced, as this keeps the courts separate from any influences which could threaten their integrity as well as that of the government. One of the biggest solutions, however, is for courts to perhaps be given the ability to provide more than just punitive justice. Systems such as restorative justice, which perhaps deemed by some as too lenient, have in fact been proven to deliver results which help to heal victims and rehabilitate criminals. They may not work 100% of the time, but when we consider that our courts are clogged and our prisons are overcrowded, it may be time that we gave some of these alternatives a fair chance. These are, of course, not the only factors in play when dealing with criminal justice, and a lot of cases can still slip through the cracks. But a justice system which works well is one which remembers its duty to serve and protect all of society, though it is nearly always the right thing for individuals, victims especially, to question whether the courts are fulfilling this duty. But it's always important to keep in mind what I've said here also. I know this is a difficult and perhaps not satisfactory answer to your query, Carmen, but I hope it may have been somewhat enlightening to understand it from the end of the political system which maintains criminal justice in a Western society. Thank you everyone for watching. I'd like to give a shout out at this point to England's best lookalike agency, Susan Scott Lookalikes. If you ever need a lookalike, political or celebrity, just give them a quick Google or their URL will be in the video description. Remember to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button and stay notified of whenever our next video is uploaded. Please keep sending in your questions, we need more of them. Just remember to keep what you're asking quite specific and not too frivolous on the subject of politics. But if you want to simply hear something said in the voice of BoJo, you're welcome to put in a request for that as well, and I will probably repeat your words on camera. Take care everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheerio!